left the Point Reyes National Seashore, our next stop was Angel Island. This is a state park that's located in the middle of San Francisco Bay. It's a unique location because it's surrounded by the city in all directions. We found Tiburon, and it is an adorable little town. We have no idea where we're supposed to park, so we're driving in circles right now. We drove around Tiburon for quite a while trying to figure out the parking situation. So it turns out that there are a few lots that are just for day use, and then there are a few lots where you can actually leave the car overnight. So we ended up parking in Lot C and then heading down to the ferry terminal. And we were rushing because we had to pack all of our gear in the parking lot and then try to get to the ferry on time. Okay, we made it. We're running through the streets of Tiburon with backpacks on, which probably looks kind of funny because it's a little bit of an upscale neighborhood.
I guess they're used to it.
The guy was like, "You're looking for the ferry, right? Go down there." We were like, "Okay." So we have like, what, 15 minutes to spare. We thought we were going to miss it. So we're back at the car, not at the ferry. Why? Because apparently Sunday's not a weekend.
Yeah.
Nobody told me that. So the last ferry left at 3 and we weren't on it. And now we don't know what we're doing tonight. So we have to figure out somewhere to stay and then come back for the ferry tomorrow.
Yeah.
Which sucks because we paid for the night of camping already. Alright, regroup. We spent a good while looking at different options for hotels and campsites in the area, and we even talked about driving all the way around into downtown San Francisco for the night and then coming back in the morning to actually get on the ferry for Angel Island. But in the end, Patrick made an executive decision. He pulled up the Expedia app on his phone and booked a night at the Tiburon Lodge, which we were parked right next to at the time. Parking card.
Parking card.
We're in. Maybe I should take the towel off the dashboard and be classy. I was about to sleep in the car, but
not a Patrick.
Patrick over here has decided that we're staying in the fancy lodge.
We went from 0 to 100 real quick.
It's right on the other side of where we had the car parked.
I know. I don't even know how to explain. So we missed our ferry. We screwed up on the scheduling. It was our fault. Whatever.
We thought it was Sunday, and it's clearly not Sunday. Yeah. It is Monday.
Sometimes when you're on vacation, as everybody knows, you lose track of time, hopefully. You blame it on that. So it's not the ferry's fault, it's ours. But we just kind of switched gears, and there's a lot of this hotel lodge thing right across the street from the ferry. Got it on Expedia, and now we have our own balcony, heated pool, restaurant, and they give you a goodie bag filled with wine, water, and yeah. Well, we were going to get a room inside the city. It's because we figured it would be cheaper. It wasn't. Actually, if you added it up all together, by the time you paid for it, paid for parking, and then drove over there, and we're hitting rush hour. So it'd taken us like probably 45 minutes to an hour.
Yeah.
So, and we have all our gear too. We didn't want to leave that in the car, and she was looking up on the tablet that there's a lot of break-ins. So.
We ended up here. We have wine.
We have wine. Somebody has to drink it.
Instead of camping on an island tonight, we are sleeping in these beautiful queen-sized beds and sipping wine, complimentary wine, on the balcony. Are you enjoying your sundowner?
Yeah.
Who needs an island anyway? Good morning. Today we're going to see if we can actually get onto the ferry and get onto Angel Island. We went out for a great sushi dinner last night, which was nice. And we got to sleep in these really nice beds. The sheets were awesome. But this was a
very costly mistake. Today is officially Tuesday, and I'm going to make sure that when we're looking at the ferry schedule, we look at the weekday schedule. So hopefully we actually get onto the island today. I see eyes moving. Here we go. It's a nice garden. They grow some of their produce, I guess, for the restaurant. Good idea. Yeah. Do we have hot tub time? Cabana time? Nah. Can't take any risks. We have to be on that ferry. There's our room over there. Meal before we go onto the island.
After having our breakfast at the Tiburon Tavern, we moved the car back over to the overnight parking lot, and then we grabbed our backpacks, which luckily were already packed and ready to go, and then we headed down to the ferry dock. We were very careful this time to make sure that we looked at the weekday schedule, so we ended up at the dock on time. We made it. They let us on.
"3:30 p.m. is our last return trip, so unless you plan on spending the night on the island, be sure to be back by 3:30 p.m. at the ferry dock. Have a wonderful time. We'll be underway shortly."
The island is bigger than I was expecting, and it's actually pretty tall.
Yeah.
Reservation?
Yes.
Hey, we can check you in at that kiosk after the boat.
Okay.
We checked in with the rangers at the kiosk so we could get our backcountry permit for the campsite, and we took note of the ferry schedule for the next day when we would be heading back to Tiburon. We had to hike our way to the other side of Angel Island. We were staying at the Sunrise campsite, so we decided to take the North Ridge Trail instead of the paved loop that goes around the island. And this ended up being pretty steep, especially in the beginning.
We just started hiking about 30 seconds ago, literally. But then we stopped because they're about to load this airstream onto a barge. I feel like it's something you don't see every day.
Most people in the area know that you can take the ferry out to Angel Island State Park and walk around for the day and see the historic buildings and the immigration station. But we found out that not that many people know that you can actually backpack and camp on Angel Island. And I think this is why we ended up being so lucky that we were able to book this campsite right on the water overlooking San Francisco Bay.
Got to the campsite. How long did it take us to get here?
45 minutes.
45 minutes? Yeah. Okay. And it's really hot and there's no shade, but it's a great view of the bay. So our first thing is we're going to set up the new tarp that we got for this trip. We didn't actually use it at the coastal campground because We got there late enough and it was pretty shady, but right now it's we're getting cooked.
Yeah.
So I think we need the extra shade, and we want to practice with the tarp. Got our tarp set up and now we're off to explore the island. I think we're gonna go see some of the buildings first because they close when the sun goes down, but the rest of the island you can still walk around and hike.
Angel Island has such an interesting mixture of hiking trails, from nice flat open roads to some smaller steeper trails, all the way to the paved loop that goes around the outside of the island that you can either take a bike or a tram car to go around. And you'll see that since the island is located right in the middle of the bay, you don't have to go very far for really amazing views. But you get to see the Golden Gate Bridge and the city skyline without having to deal with all the crowds that you normally get when you're on the other side of the bay.
There's Alcatraz. Maybe we'll come back down at night and see the lights. And there's the Golden Gate Bridge. This is the Fort McDowell section of the island, where they housed a lot of the troops when this was used as a military base. And I think we can get down to the beach over there. The beach looks really nice.
The south side of the island, just underneath our campsite, has a ton of different buildings. And a lot of these buildings are very old and falling apart, but some of them are still pretty intact. These are some of the buildings that they actually use to house the workers for the state park and some of the people who stay on the island. There was also an old hospital, and this was one of our favorite parts. They had the inside all opened up so that you could actually walk through and see what the building looked like. We only had enough time to explore this one part of the island, but there's so much history on Angel Island that I feel like we easily could have used that second day that we were actually supposed to be on the island to take some time to see some of the other areas. But I'm still glad that we ended up having time to explore what we got to see.
I don't think you can go in this one, no. It's really falling apart. The second time in 3 days that we've had our own almost personal beach. We got spoiled.
Yeah.
We're not going to be able to go back to New Jersey. There's one guy down there, but he's pretty quiet. We'll share.
How's that water?
Chilly. Not chilly.
Not chilly.
Go for a dip.
No.
You could if you really wanted to, but it's pretty cold.
Switched the campsite around. We took the tarp down and we set up the tent because it's shady now. And it's pretty neat. We face the tent right toward the water, so we get this nice view when we wake up. There.
And for this location, burned plenty of tent stakes. I broke 3 so far.
Yeah, the ground is really hard, so our good MSR groundhog stakes broke right in half.
Yeah.
Trying to get them in the ground.
Always bring extra.
So Pat, what's for dinner?
Angel hair pasta,
And what island are we staying on?
Angel Island.
Yeah. Who's good at meal planning?
That's an L.
You have to think ahead to be this prepared. That's just the kind of campers we are.
And know what day of the week it is.